I want to give you a little treat, a surprise new series, and I think you're going to love it. r/TIFU or Today I Effed Up are hilarious stories about sometimes petty and sometimes dramatic mistakes that people make, often accidentally and in very obscure ways. I really hope you enjoy this special bonus episode this week. It's just my way of saying thanks to how amazing you have been. I want to give you the best stories on VoiceyHere, and I'm going to keep working hard to do so. In today's first episode of Today I Effed Up, a husband makes plans to surprise his wife, but what he doesn't know is that she's also planning a surprise, and he's not prepared for what's awaiting him at home. A student diligently takes notes and completes assignments at university. It's only weeks later he begins to realize he's accidentally made a huge mistake. A husband is making a great impression at a dinner party hosted by his wife's boss, but what he does next shocks everyone in the room. Don't forget to like, subscribe, bell, and let's get straight into this. This story was called Today I Effed Up by not telling my wife our son was coming home. This happened Sunday night. My oldest son is in the Marines, hasn't been home in almost a year. He took 10 days leave so he could come visit. At first, we did not tell his mother, in case the leave got denied. When it was approved, he just decided he would fly in and surprise her. I tell the wife I'm going over to a friend's to watch the Packers-Falcons game, as a cover to pick him up. I get to the airport and actually watched the second quarter of the game waiting for his plane. He gets off the plane, we talk for a bit, waiting for the luggage, and then he goes to change into his dress blues. Now the whole time I've been texting my wife saying I was bored, the game sucked, and I wasn't going to stay much longer. We discuss the plan on how to surprise his mother on the drive back to the house. We go back and forth from having her open the front door to see him on the porch, to just having him walk into the house. We settle on him waiting for a few minutes after I go inside, as I wanted to get the whole thing on video, free internet points and all that. I walk in and the house is quiet, no one in the living room. A little bit odd, but it is after 9 PM. Maybe by some miracle my other kids are actually already in bed. Alarm bells start going off in my head when I open our bedroom door, and the first thing I notice is the flickering candlelight. What I did not know was the entire time I was gone, my wife set into motion her own plan for the evening. She got the kids settled by letting them keep their tablets after bedtime, took a nice hot bath, redid her makeup, and when I told her I was on the way home, lit the room with candles and put on her lingerie. So no surprise, there I was, staring at my wife, giving me her best "come hither" look, with our 21-year-old son outside not 30 feet away, waiting to surprise her. A handful of reactions to this scene are acceptable. Pulling out your cell phone and sending a text message is not one. The text told my son to stay outside. I had solved the most immediate problem of our son walking in and seeing his mother like that, but I was drawing a blank on how to fix everything else. So my brain latched on to what has to be the most stupid plan I have ever had in my life. I told my wife to get dressed because she would never believe what the neighbors were doing and she had to come see it. The look of confusion on her face was priceless. It took me 5 minutes to convince her to put on some sweatpants and a sweatshirt to go to the front door. Finally, after dodging all her questions and getting her to open the door, there was our son in his dress uniform, and she was ecstatic. The noise brought all the kids out and everyone was happy. Except me. The wife excused herself after a few minutes and took off the lingerie under her sweatpants before anyone noticed. It goes without saying, I did not get any action that night. Also, in trying to salvage the whole surprise, I forgot to video it for my free internet points. So I guessed Today I Effed Up will have to suffice instead. I'm trying to think what actually would be a good response in that situation. The only thing I could think of is almost putting it back on her and saying, "Oh, there's actually someone at the door for you. He didn't give me his name," which those things are technically true. Let me know in the comments what you would do to try and be sensitive to her feelings, but at the same time, maintain the surprise. This story is called Today I Effed Up by sitting in the wrong class for an entire month and finding out a day before the first midterm. I'm in my third year of university, taking engineering, so this is a little extra embarrassing considering my streak of never being that person in the wrong class. To start the semester, I ended up missing the first week of school because I was on a last-minute trip with my friends. It was completely unplanned, and actually, a few of my friends who had graduated helped chip in to buy my ticket since I technically couldn't afford to go. Future me will hate past me for going because I used my student loans to go, but that's a different issue. Anyway, I came into class a week late, and it's scheduled for Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 to 8:15 p.m. On both those days, I have classes all day until 2 p.m, so I usually go home to eat and grab a snooze before the night class. So my first Tuesday home, I ended up oversleeping and turning up to class 5 minutes late. So as part of my degree, I have to take microeconomics, which all I knew about it previously was it's about the economy and money. When I get to class, they're talking about supply and demand curves shifting, so I take a spot in the back, not thinking twice. This goes on for 3.5 weeks. I came to class, took notes, then did the weekly assignments. On the course syllabus, it had a date for the midterm, which was February the 1st. So the class before the exam, January the 30th, I decided to stick around after class and ask some questions. Now I was doing all the assignments and thought the course material was relevant, but it was all theory-based while the class was heavy math-based. I understood what was going on, but there was obviously some disconnect. I explained my concerns about the midterm to the professor, and the conversation went like this. Explains above about material. What do you mean theory? All the assignments are filled with math. Are you using Launchpad? No, the assignments are online, like the website we bought the textbook from. What's Launchpad? Pardon? I don't have a textbook for this course. It literally says in the syllabus, look. I show him the syllabus. Wait, what class are you supposed to be in? What do you mean? This is Econ 202, right? This is Econ 301. You have to take 202 before you take my class. This is a new one. I've never experienced this before. Well, this is awkward. I better go see my actual teacher and explain. I then just grabbed my stuff real quick and sprinted through campus to go explain the situation to the other guy. I caught him just as he was leaving his lecture and explained my predicament. I even showed him my Econ 301 notes to prove I couldn't make this stuff up. He just laughed and said the same thing. This is a new one for me. Turns out all the assignments for both classes were due the same day. Same with the midterms. They were relevant because it was obviously a level above what I was supposed to be doing, and the only thing I got wrong was the building code. They were both classroom 112, just different buildings. So basically, I just spent the last 2 nights forgetting everything from this class all month, learning the real material. Wish me luck tomorrow. It would be pretty frustrating to put a lot of actual work into the study, only to realize that I won't need that information until next year. I was wondering how you could actually make the mistake of being in the wrong class, but I guess if it kind of synced with whatever was last year, just more advanced, then I could see how you could make the mistake. Hey, at least they're really prepared for next year. This story was called Today I Effed Up by throwing my steak out a window. Last night, my wife's boss from her brand new job invited us over for dinner. On the drive over, my wife reiterated many times to me just how important it was to make a good impression. I scoffed and arrogantly informed my silly wife that I always make good impressions. My wife's boss is a single lady in her 50s, so it was just the 3 of us. We chit-chatted over drinks and salads and seemed to really be hitting it off. She laughed at my well-timed, perfectly appropriate jokes, and my wife seemed pleased. Soon, she brought out the main course, a nice big juicy steak for each of us. As I began to cut into my steak, I was discouraged to discover how undercooked this steak was. Now, I've had my fair share of rare steak. I prefer medium, but I can handle rare. This was several minutes on a hot grill, short of rare. I probably could have resuscitated the cow had I tried. Instead, I sat there, fidgeting with my knife and fork, worrying about how I was going to get away with not eating this steak. Claim veganism? No, I'd already feigned great enthusiasm upon seeing the steak. Just then, our hostess excused herself to the kitchen to take care of some dessert preparations. As I looked across the fancy dining room table at the open window of this third-story apartment, a cartoon light bulb appeared over my head. I knew I had to be decisive, realizing that she could return at any moment. I committed. I grabbed the steak with my hand, gently shook off the juice, and executed a perfect throw right through the center of the open window. Here's the big time F-up. The window wasn't open. It was the cleanest frickin' window you've ever seen in your life. That is, until my mostly raw slab of steak slammed up against it and slowly slid down, leaving a trail of bloody juice in its wake. My wife, whose steak was a nice medium rare and was unaware of my predicament, turned, jaw dropped, and stared at me like I was an alien from another planet. This look then slowly morphed into more of a "there is no place on this planet you can ever hide from me" expression of demonic anger. My wife's boss heard the thud of the steak on window impact and came quickly. She took in the scene, the steak sitting on the windowsill, the blood trail, my empty plate, and then gave me an inquisitive, puzzled look. I just didn't know what to say. It felt like a minute of silence, but was probably 3 or 4 seconds. Finally, the best I could manage was, I'm sorry, I'm such a klutz. I don't know, I was just cutting it, and it slipped. Just ask my wife, I really am a klutz. Right, honey? No help coming from that direction. I will clean this up. I can't believe this, I'm so sorry, etc., etc. Both women continued to stare at me like I had escaped from the loony bin, as I smeared the blood around the window with my cloth napkin, dusted off the steak, and continued to mutter my incoherent explanation. I knew no one was buying the story. I knew what I had to do. I sheepishly returned to my seat and proceeded to eat every bite of that disgusting, cold, chewy, bloody, raw steak. I remained pretty quiet the rest of the evening. My wife's only 2 words to me since the incident are, "I'm fine." This story is actually the reason I wanted to do this subreddit. I read it, pun intended, sometime late in December, and I kind of forgot about it until like a week ago, and then I was like, this story is so funny, I want to share it with you guys, and if you think that this subreddit has been funny too, I'm definitely going to make more, so let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this episode, and I'll be sure to make at least another one next week, and then I might make it a regular series as well. But now we've got a few series going on, so we've got Choosing Beggars, Petty Revenge, Entitled Parents, and Today I Effed Up. I've done one wholesome video and I do want to do more in the future, but there are very few stories of those around. I guess there's a lot more negativity in the world or something, huh? So, be sure to subscribe to the r/VoiceyHere subreddit, share your stories, and you might have a chance to have your story featured on the VoiceyHere channel. Alright, thanks so much guys, we've almost hit 50k subscribers, which is just unbelievable. I am still working on a subscriber special, but I don't want to give anything away until it's actually closer to being produced, so we might get it probably late February. If you'd like your story to be narrated by me, don't forget to visit the subreddit r/VoiceyHere, link below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Alright, I'll see you in the next one.